Percy remembered the name Leto, the mother of Apollo and Artemis. This guy Koios looked vaguely familiar because he had Artemis's cold eyes and Apollo's smile. The Titan was their grandfather, not Leto's father. The idea gave Percy a migraine. "Well, I'll see you in the mortal world!" Koios chest bumped Bob, almost knocking the cat off his head. "Oh, and the other two brothers are guarding this side of the doors of death. You'll see them soon enough." "I will." "Count on it!" Koios lumbered off, almost knocking Percy and Annabeth before he could scramble out of his way. Before the crowd of monsters could fill the empty space, Percy motioned for Bob to lean in. "You okay, big guy?" Percy whispered. Bob frowned. "I do not know. In all this," he gestured around them. "What is the meaning of okay?" Fair point, Percy thought. Annabeth peered towards the doors of death. Through the crowd of monsters, she could barely see the doors. "Did I hear correctly? 2 more Titans guarding our exit? That's not good." Percy looked at Bob. The Titan's distant expression worried him. "Do you remember Koios?" he asked gently. "All that stuff he was talking about?" Bob gripped his broom. "When he told it, I remembered. He handed me my past like a spear, but I do not know if I should take it. It is still mine if I do not want it." "No," Annabeth said firmly. "Bob, you're different now. You're better." The kitten jumped off Bob's head. He circled the Titan's feet, bumping against the Titan's pant cuffs. Bob didn't seem to notice. Percy wished he could be as certain as Annabeth. He wished he could tell Bob with absolute confidence that he should forget the past. But Percy understood Bob's confusion. He remembered the day he opened his eyes in the wolf house in California, his memory wiped clean by Hera. If somebody had been waiting for Percy when he first woke up, if they'd convinced Percy that his name was Bob, and that he was a friend of the Titans and the Giants, would Percy have believed it? Would he have felt betrayed once he found out his true identity? "This is different," he told himself. "We're the good guys." But were they? Percy had left Bob in Hades' palace at the mercy of a new master who hated him. Percy didn't feel like he had much right to tell Bob what to do now, even if their lives depended on it. "I think you can choose, Bob," Percy ventured. "Take the parts of Iapis' past you want to keep. Leave the rest. Your future's what matters." "Future," Bob mused. "That is a mortal concept. I am not meant to change, Percy, friend." He glanced around at the horde of monsters. "We are the same. Forever." "If you were the same," Percy said, "Annabeth and I would be dead already. Maybe we're not meant to be friends, but we are. You're the best friend we could ask for." Bob's silver eyes looked darker than usual. He held out his hand, and small Bob the kitten jumped onto it. The Titan rose to full height. "Let us go then, friends. Not much farther." Stomping on Tartarus's heart wasn't nearly as much fun as it sounded. The purplish ground was slippery and constantly pulsing. It looked flat from a distance, but up close it was made of folds and ridges that got harder to navigate the farther they walked. Gnarled lumps of red arteries and blue veins gave Percy some footholds when he had to climb, but the going was slow. And, of course, the monsters were everywhere. Packs of hellhounds plowed the plains, baying and snarling and attacking any monsters that dropped its guard. Arai wheeled overhead on leathery wings, making ghastly dark silhouettes in the poison clouds. Percy stumbled. His hand touched a red artery, and a tingling sensation went up his arm. "There's water in here," he said. "Actual water." Bob grunted. "One of the 5 rivers. His blood." "His blood?" Annabeth stepped away from the nearest clump of veins. "I knew the underworld rivers all emptied into Tartarus, but—" "Yes," Bob agreed. "They all flow through the heart." Percy traced his hand across a web of capillaries. Was the water the Styx flowing beneath his fingers? Or maybe the Lethe? If one of those veins popped when he stepped on it, Percy shuddered. He realized he was taking a stroll across the most dangerous circulatory system in the universe. "We should hurry," Annabeth said. "If we can't—" Her voice trailed off. Ahead of them, jagged streaks of darkness tore through the air, like lightning, except pure black. "The doors," Bob said. "Must be a group going through." Percy's mouth tasted like Gorgon blood. Even if his friends from the Argo II managed to find the other side of the doors of death, how could they possibly fight waves of monsters that were coming through, especially if all the giants were already waiting for them? "Do all the monsters go through the House of Hades?" he asked. "How big is this place?" Bob shrugged. Perhaps they are sent elsewhere when they go through. The house of Hades is in Earth, yes? That is Gaia's realm. She could send her minions where she wishes. Percy's spirit sank. Monsters come through the doors of death to threaten their friends of Epirus? That was bad enough. Now he imagined the ground on the mortal side as one big subway system, depositing giants and other nasties everywhere Gaia wanted them to go. Camp Half-Blood, Camp Jupiter, or in the path of the Argo II before it could even reach Epirus. If Gaia has that much power, Annabeth asked, couldn't she control where we end up? Percy really hated that question. Sometimes he wished Annabeth wasn't so smart. Bob scratched his chin. You are not monsters. It may be different for you. Great, Percy thought. He didn't relish the idea of Gaia waiting for them on the other side, ready to teleport them into the middle of a mountain. But at least the doors were a chance to get out of Tartarus. It wasn't like they had a better option. Bob helped them over the top of another ridge. Suddenly the doors of death were in better view. A free-standing rectangle of darkness at the top of the next heart muscle hill. About a quarter-mile away, surrounded by a horde of monsters so thick, Percy could have walked on the heads all the way across. The doors were still too far away to make out much detail, but the titans flanking either side were familiar enough. The one on the left wore a shining golden armor that shimmered with heat. Hyperion, Percy muttered. That guy just won't stay dead. On the right wore dark blue armor, with ram's horns curling on either side of the helmet. Percy had only seen him in his dreams before, but that was definitely Krios, the titan that Jason had killed in the Battle of Mount Tam. Bob's older brothers, Annabeth said. The death mist shimmered around her, temporarily turning her face into a grinning skull. Bob, if you have to fight them, can you? Bob hefted his broom like he was ready for a messy cleaning job. We must hurry, he said, which Percy noticed wasn't really an answer. Follow me.